It's day 545 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor an upcoming shir or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. It would be very greatly appreciated. Today is our last full day. That's Siman Shin Chaf Hey. We're doing Chaf Hey to Lamed Halef. So we said yesterday that we're talking about a case where a Jew brought a non-Jew brought stuff for Yisrael, they're harmless, and etc., etc. And there was a long quote here from the Ramah, and it was cryptic, and now the Arukh HaShulchan gets into it. Before I move on, Cloud, where's the Ramah? Not as the law. The field day of Zoo ain't had to election Yehudi heavy miatzmo. The only permissibility is where the non-Jew brings for him, when it comes to Carmelists, such like, is only when the non-Jew brings it for himself. Thus, Israel came in Shiloh, because there's no prohibition for the Jew because he didn't require this thing. But to tell a Jew deliberately to bring something for him through a Carmelist, who allowed this to be done? Also, and Darkei Moshe himself does not permit this. Nearly, it seems to me, they came in the Kivain Bekan, the Ramah had a mind here, the Dibra goes to Maimias, that who brings down that Rabbeinu Tam permitted to tell not Jew, Fabi Ner Hadolek, bring a candle which is burning. Tizel Rak is a muktzah, prohibition valve is only muktzah, until to Minatzari, and it was indirect carrying, the Jew himself could have done it. Came and changed side heter Yisrael atzmo, since there's a possibility for a Jew himself to do it beheter, Arukh HaShulchan Yodi, or outside Isser, Ayin Shom. Therefore, now it's not a problem, even non-Jew does it with derech Isser, since we could have done it ourselves with derech heter. But in Ken Hachinami, here too, came and changed side heter Yisrael, Sheil Chasham Yishteh, since not a Jew could go there, where the water is, and drink. But we're not concerned if the non-Jew does it in a way which is usher, but it is rabban. Even though it's probably machmir, because it's not a complete analogy. There's some there, non-Jew bring the candle, he himself can bring. The same candle. Then it's in a first resort, but there's no explicit prohibition implied in his words. Where you tell him to bring it here. Tell him to bring something to a Carmelist, which is the Varisra, Midrabar. Nevertheless, we should not protest those are lenient. Because we can add here another Siba Lahat here, another reason to allow this. The word Siman Shin Zayin, because Siman Shin Zayin explains the Hutra, Amil Akim Bis Rabbanim, they Miktas Choyli. You're allowed to tell a non-Jew to do an Issur Rabbanim, even for Miktas Choyli, a small sickness, or mitzvah for a purpose of mitzvah, or if you have a great need for something. Here we tell him to bring beer, you have a tzarech. It's like a mikzas koili. To have that beer is very important. The flower covered Shabbos, especially if you're eating covered Shabbos. Therefore, you cannot protest those who are lenient. So somebody wants to watch his soul. He'll distance himself to this heter. He brings in a bracket, towards Kushin Atas, you can yod, me as a mother of Rams, you can have hey, and show much custody thing on most of Shabbos Osir. That which he wrote, evidently the Magen Avram or Taz says you're not allowed to give money to non-Jew on Shabbos. It's for it seems that there's some mistake in the print. My commercial, what's going to tell us? Of course, you're not going to be on Shabbos. Ella, can't still come out. But this is what I have to say. The retain most, even non-Jew is paying up on his own, I guess, for the messenger service. also it's forbidden. Because there's also commercial activity through his agents, the non-Jew. The Mishnah Berurah does right Kipshuto. We shouldn't give money to the non-Jew for the service he did, which again, according to Arukh HaShulchan, seems to be difficult. As Arukh HaShulchan writes, seems to be difficult. But Mana said it's relevant, such a thing, because Mana says, you can pay by credit card. So the question is whether you can give a credit card to a non-Jew on Shabbos, where you have to use the services. Bashas is only exchange of money, which is forbidden. The credit card wouldn't fall into that category. Well, I'm not sure about that, but I think that when Chazal made a Gzera on Ma'os, on money, it doesn't necessarily include a credit card, or even a check, for that matter. But checks you can't write on Shabbos, so that wouldn't work. Chavav, Liket Akum Asavim with Tzarech Behemto. If a non-Jew gathered grass for the purpose of his animal, and he harvested them, he cut them off out of the ground on Shabbos. Whatever's left over, the Jew can give his own animal. We already explained the previous simon. Steve, you base the Shemamid Abehemto on Muktzah. When you put your animal next to a courtyard full of grain, also Lamod allow you can't stand by the animal. The Shem Yital the Muktzah, because maybe you're going to take from the Muktzah grain, from the grain in the Muktzah, and put it to its mouth. You should stand at a distance, just to bar its pathway, so that won't deviate from here. So this grass is also Muktzah. Just like stuff in the Muktzah is Muktzah because you were Maktzah, so this grass Muktzah because it's Muktzah Karka. Now you only severed it from the ground today. Also, we said this. We clarified this is only when a non-Jew is not an acquaintance of yours. So Makir, we know is acquaintance of yours. It's also. But according to what we explained, it's only if the non-Jew is present and in front of it. Anytime we're afraid that the non-Jew might add for you. It's also when the non-Jew is an acquaintance. Or there's no concern that be adding for you, such as a candle which a non-Jew lit for himself. Also, made a gangplank to go down the hem and similar things. When they did it clearly for themselves, then even if you're he's an acquaintance of yours, and even if it's in front of you, it is okay. Mr. Berurah says, "Shas of chak, when you have no grass, you can lie those in lenient, even when he gathers them for the purpose of the animal of the Jew. If the Jew, the animal belonging to the Jew could have eaten it while the grasses, while they were still connected to the ground." Mr. Berurah also brings down that if we know that he does these things at the end, which has to do with if we know these did what he did also for the Yisrael, it's usher. That's a Magen Avraham. The Halacha writes that no, somebody who's lenient, even if he did it also for a non-Jew, as long as it's not his acquaintance and in front of, I guess. So then it is okay. It shouldn't protest. Chav Zayin. Even if he's not your acquaintance. He says explicitly he's doing for the purpose of the Jew. Or he doesn't say explicitly, his deeds indicate that he did it for the purpose of the Jew. Such as where he lit a candle, and then he left immediately. He never used the light at all. But so there was a Jew there. Even if it wasn't there, but it seems clear that he lit for the purpose of the Jew. Also, no Jew can use this light. Also, that which you allowed when he's your acquaintance. When he's not in front of you, if not, Jew knows. So that the Jew needs this. Also, it's also, if it seems clear to us that he added for the Jew, even though the Jew is not present and accounted for. That which you forbade when the non-Jew is an acquaintance of yours, Ein tzarich Kedei Shiasa Motzei Shabbos, still don't need Kedei Shiasa on Motzei Shabbos. Chav Ches. Im Ein Yehudi Oseh B'Shilo B'Shvil Yisrael, if not just doing something for himself and for the Jew, for something which is usually done more in bulk, more for two people than for one person. Mine, such as drawing water, or gathering grasses. Pshita Shasser. So obviously that's awesome because he's clearly doing it for you and for him. Number never kevish, but by the candle and the gangplank. Makes some of those say Shagamkin Osser. There's those say it's also lesser, but now be on we explain way back in summation above the mutar that it's permissible. Which is the case of a Rashba. The Rashba writes, it says, well, the Yerushalmi so paired to design Yeshak of the Tayyib said, the Yerushalmi's discussion is, but Maskana Yeshus Kol shows that the various different versions of the conclusion of the Yerushalmi is. Ayin Sham. Practice says, I'm a Gerbam Sivkad Nuchav Chesh, Erich Matam, but Tosefta, the Chashashu Shabbos Abba. The Tosefta says that the issue is the next Shabbos. You can't gamba there, Yesh Lachush, and that's the case also for candle. That might be a problem next Shabbos. Yitzchak Chalek, where has difficulty drawing distinction on Yisham. For Rabbi Sivchof, we already explained that Shas Losil Hach the Tosefta. Shas doesn't look like the Tosefta, but Gamba Tosefta Myra, Tafka Bifnei Yisrael, also the Tosefta said about where the Jew is present. Piece of Bamas, if you have Tosefta, you Gamke Gamba there, I think can. When Tosefta, Allah supposed to be with a candle, then you can't derive benefit from it, even though he's laying for himself. No, if he has Shas, Lo, Chayshina, Klam, Mishum Shabbos Abba, but according to the Gemara, not considered off because of next Shabbos, because the next Shabbos is not mentioned in the entire Sugya of the Duke. Chavtes, Mikol Mashi's bar, for everything that's been explained, Yesh Letzaveach, you shall shout. Aleis HaMe'ashim, and some rich people. Shemalafikim Bevei, some Mishores, the same Yudim, who have a male or female servant in their house. Maminim Shabbos has samovar that they put up the samovar, the hot water on Shabbos. Tanasim Havlios with their empty claims. Shehane Yehudi shows a gankin that non-Jews drinking as well. The Kamanos asking the primary intent of the non-Jews for himself. Nobody shows he's still not for the Jew. Zel chutzpah klap Ishmael. Wow, the Arukh HaShulchan's going down on this one. This is the chutzpah Torah Kodesh Baruch Hu. Shabim Laros Hashem could be a trick on Kodesh Baruch Hu. Who doesn't know? Shafim Kiva Kamanos HaMishores or Mishores Latzon, even of the intent of the male or female servants for themselves. Mikom Makom, nevertheless, Ikar Kavanos, Shema Bnei Beis, or Shul Yisrael. The main reason is for the members of the Jews' household. Moshe B'cholim Yeshua, just like it's every day of the week. Yeshua Nosel Lamar Shekel. Some people teach the non-Jews to say a lie, to verbalize the lie. Shagam Nasim Shalasa doing it for themselves. Now, even if that was true, says the Shulchan, we're afraid maybe it's going to add for him, but not for the Jew. It's clear that, I guess they're doing it for more tea. But it's a gomerhu. It's completely utter mechalim Shabbos. The kol avonim in the soul. We're talking about this is Rabbanan here, but there's still the mechalim Shabbos and Naver is greater than anyone can bear. These v'yesh marbim hevel. Those people add empty and frivolous contentions. You might have to say the Shabbat kol chulin echolin eitzel kamin. It's a cute cut. It worked. Everybody's sick vis-a-vis hot water. In other words, everybody needs tea on Shabbos. You can't go without tea. So since you're choyla milaka was permitted. The time on any you tell not Jew to set up the hot water. May the mouth of those who speak lies be stopped up. Hello, yesh lasos me'el Shabbos. I mean, or bekochlin. You don't do a photo from every Shabbos and put it in the oven or in some other way to keep the heat. No, shekoy so it seems like all Jews do. And so we say that just because the taste of water is not the same as through the muchna, I'm not sure what the muchna here means, but I guess it's samovar put from Shabbos, not the Chal Shabbos Kodesh, we're allowed to eat Matzah Shabbos, lo to hey, because those be soiled. Obviously, it's a big problem, time to Arukh HaShulchan. But I know today when we have the electric urns, we don't have that much of a problem. And their avera, as we said before, is greater than they can bear. And refrains from doing this treacherous, non-halachic practice. May he be blessed. If a non-Jew on his own volition, he could fill up water from Shusayach, brought to Shusarabim, and gave a Jew's animal to drink, or pluck grass and gave it to the animal to eat. These are, of course, the rices. The Jew doesn't have to stop him from doing that. Miu, however, in Ragabakach, the non-Jew always does this. When he wants to pull a ruse and say, no, I'm really filling it up and plucking for myself. And then afterwards, he gives to eat and to drink to the Jewish animal. Also, it's written. Dafka Bakrai only it's on occasion. He doesn't have to protest. If his body of the Jew doesn't get direct benefit from this. As opposed to a candle where you're not allowed to use its light. But by the time, what do we care? What does he care? Nevertheless, if the non-Jew does this on a regular basis, he's like an agent, but it's forbidden. The brackets, I am again, once you can lamish it up, it's the Mordechai, they both mean the same thing. The Ksharama, Yehudi, even where the ruse is initiated by the non-Jew, we automatically assume that the Jew is behind it, the Duke. Lamed Alf, us and Yehudi b'Shabbos, Aron or Kever, person non-Jew made a coffin or a grave, we should ask for himself, Klon Veshul Krova, meaning for his relative. Chaka Nisava Shein to recover, and then the relative not have to be buried. Muti so the Jews will have to bury in it. In Royal so it's an appropriate place for a Jew to be buried. Became brought to the coffin. Him also Bishvil Yisrael, they made for a Jew. Lo Yikover Olamis. He made on Shabbos for a Jew, obviously. He shouldn't be buried in it ever. Even though other malachas which a non-Jew does for Jew, it's okay to derive benefit from them. Motzei Shabbos, bekever of our own, by a grave and a coffin. To have a meal of Hesi where it's a public thing, Asr L'olam, it's forbidden forever. I guess because it's like a gnai for the mace. The Sharatzian says that if you contracted a non-Jew, it's okay, according to the law, because you didn't contract with them do it on Shabbos. Then he's just doing on Shabbos for his own convenience, evidently. But it says it's still appropriate machmir. Then it goes on to show and say anything which is public. It's a limit. It's forever. Mishnah says you don't have to be if it's the Shas Tzarech, you have a compelling need, you don't have to be machmir. But Rosh you see machmir in any event. Specifically when the grave is in public, above, and the coffin on top of it. Everybody knows, so that is, everybody knows it's made for the Jew. Oh, there it is. And it's degrading for a person. You buried in a famous grave, which is created by Chilul Shabbos. I'm here, but it was done in secret. Then it's okay after Shabbos is over, as long as you wait for the Shiasu. But even if it's a public, and it's a lowly social, not to be sure, someone else for that Jew from whom it was done. Also, they basis for him and members of his household. But for another Jew who's not of the same household, it's okay. You have to wait for the Shabbos. Even though the other guy didn't have to wait for even though we said earlier that by a non-Jew did a malacha to Rabbanim for you don't have to wait for Motzei Shabbos and Motzei Shabbos. Shatam Shelo Acher. I'm sorry. Avagav. Wait a second. Avagav Acher Lamtim Motzei Shabbos. Even though the other guy did not have to wait for Shabbos, Shatam Shelo Yamar Lasot Zeh Lo Shach Ba'Acher. So I guess it's really the third party. The Jew, not what I said before. Non-Jew made for a Jew. That guy has to wait Chodesh Yatsu, but not a third party. So here the Mason is the third party, right? So Shach Ba'acher. Nevertheless, with a complete, absolute malacha, the rice was done. For a Shula where Mechaz always required Kadesh Yatsu. And we have to show we finish the simon tomorrow.